The first running back we are talking about today,
Alexander.
Matt, just happens to be my running back too overall.
So I'll get kicked off here with TreVeyon Henderson, Ohio State running back, 5'10" and an eighth, 202 pounds, 9.5-inch hands. He is 22 years old. He'll be 23 in October. In the 40-yard dash, he ran a 4.43 at a 1.52 10-yard split. Didn't run any of the three-cone or short shuttles, 128-inch broad jump, and 38.5-inch vertical. Last year at Ohio State, sharing time in 16 games, he had 1,116 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns, 27 receptions, 284 yards, and an additional touchdown.
Do you want me to give him, or do you want to give the run blocking grade in college?
Oh, sure.
Too?
The run blocking grade was 40th for Ohio State, and the yards after contact 643, which ranked 47th. A little bit skewed since he split time and wasn't the main
less
guy.
touches.
Yep.
Yeah, so TreVeyon is somebody who has fresh wheels. He had that awesome freshman year, burst onto the scene.
Yep.
Sophomore year, injured up. Went back last year. I was kind of somewhat surprised to some people that he would go back there. Definitely knowing that Quinshon Judkins was coming in, and he didn't disappoint. I mean, his tape is just a master class of finesse. On third downs, he might as well be Harry Potter because he's out there just creating magic. Like, he's just so good.
How many of these have you practiced at a time? Because you've been on a roll lately.
Oh, I literally just made that one up on the spot.
That was
But
good.
I do write some down in my notes.
He doesn't even watch it. He's never even seen Harry Potter, this guy.
I don't watch it.
But he
Never
knows,
seen Harry Potter.
he
I
just know
knows
he's a
that it's
wizard.
magic.
Yeah. I'm trying to stay relevant to the kids out here. If you ask me to name a wizard,
20 years ago.
I don't even know any other wizards. Yeah. I don't know.
Gandalf?
Longer than that. Anyways.
Gandalf is the best wizard. Come on.
What separates him to be my running back 2 overall over guys like Quinshon Judkins, Martin Hampton is like he's built for today's NFL and fantasy football. Like, he's so explosive with the ball in his hands. I mean, he thrived to the point where, like, yeah, in between the tackles, if you want to knock him on some things, like his in between the tackle running's not the best, but it's good enough. It's certainly good enough.
Oh, yeah.
But his passing game is the best in his class. He's got 4.43 speed, and it shows. When it comes to, like, in third down protection, he might be honestly one of the best pass protected running back I've ever seen. Like, he's
fantastic.
Believable.
He's
I mean,
good.
he lays people on their ass, whether it be behind the line of scrimmage or past the line of scrimmage. He's going there to block for his receiver or quarterback. He is laying people out, man. It's somebody with the agility, speed, hands, explosiveness, a little bit of twitch in there to his game that you literally just saliva is just tripping down your mouth because you just want to get a taste of that for your rosters. Like, yeah, does this suck that you're not getting Ashton Genty at the 1-1 and you're sitting at 1-2 and how close you were? In the right situation, this is a skill set that could easily equal out to be a running back 1 overall, in fantasy football. So for me, when I see a guy who can stretch plays out there, that knows how to read blocks pretty well, that can follow his lineman and stay hip to hip on them and then explode and burst out into the field, that really gets me going. And I could take his interior vision being slightly off, you know what I mean? Where he's not going to be as effective out there or as powerful, which is some people are like, oh, he's not as powerful when he's the best pass blocking running back out there.
Yeah, I don't know that he doesn't run inside with power, but I think and he doesn't necessarily break a lot of tackles in there. But the thing about him is, I think even if he does those kind of runs and fails, I do think it sets up some of his explosive runs even later on in games or different parts of the games, because he's a guy that can get in close on a defender and maybe they're thinking contact's coming and he'll laterally juke him and then be gone. So I think it still serves him, even though it doesn't necessarily work on every single play, that he's running up the middle and hitting guys because he's not the biggest guy in the world, because he's still able to set defenders up. And that's, I think, the sign of a really good running back is when I know I set this guy up earlier by running into him. Now I'm going to set him up and make it look like I'm going to run into him, and all of a sudden I'm going to be out the side here, and I'm going to be breaking that for a long run. So I think TreVeyon, he does everything that you said really well. And I think the negative is maybe some of the physical stuff, the physicality stuff, but I still think it serves a purpose, and I think it still is a good asset for him.
Yeah, I also have him as my running back 2 in the class, 77.8, which is actually my 3rd highest score that I've ever given to a running back. So we have 3 of the top 4 running backs that I've given scores to are in this class. So that would be Ashton Genty at 1, TreVeyon Henderson at 3, and then Omarion Hampton at 4. So just kind of shows you how good the top end of this class, and Judkins is inside the top 10 as well. Like, he's right up there. We'll get to him next week. But one of the things I love about TreVeyon, and I think this is something that you were kind of touching on a little bit here. If you were to say, show me an elusive running back, I don't think he's the first person that you would point to, because people love the big dramatic, like, oh, he broke him, like, oh. But TreVeyon Henderson is actually super elusive because of his efficiency. When you see how efficient he is with his movements, I think that's one of the things that really sets him apart from other running backs, where, yes, I could do a big exaggerated move, but then I've also lost speed.
Right.
He is maximizing his speed. And I think that's why even though his 40 was just fine compared to what you might have thought it was, he doesn't waste any speed. He accelerates quickly, and then his moves are meant to maximize his top end speed. And so that's one of the things that I love about his game is he is going to make you miss, but it's not going to be the highlight level things that you think about.
Yeah, and I think of, what you're saying too is what he does well, and on top of that is his vision out in open field.
Yes.
The way he's able to like stack the defense and the defensive backs of where they're at. Like you could tell by the way he runs and the way he doesn't lose that speed. It's because he already knows where he's doing in his efficiency. Like he could see where those defensive backs are, and he could plan 2 moves ahead of his movement of where he wants to go.
I'm really glad you said that. And it's running with a plan, running with purpose. And certain guys have it, and other guys, specifically some guys we'll talk about in the next show that I'll bring up, they have no plan, and they are just reactionary out there. He's not reactionary. He's doing things in order to get guys to move so he can get to where he needs to get.
Is he all your guys' RB2?
He is for me.
As of now, yeah. I mean, I haven't looked at the whole last group, but I don't think there's anyone in there.
Judkins is the only one that I could maybe see passing him, unless you're like crazy eyeing Damian Martinez or something. But
So right now I see Hampton and Judkins like neck and neck, and it depends. Draft capital will kind of decide that for me. Right now, if I had to lean slightly one way, I'd lean Judkins. And I would still put TreVeyon in this tier right now until the NFL draft, because they're all that talented where he could be the number 2 guy easily. But I will say TreVeyon's he's closer to being a tier by himself than being the 3rd guy. If that makes sense. Or not, sorry, the 4th
tier,
guy. Yeah. Or even, the 3rd
To where
guy.
a landing spot would then,
So, same thing. Like, I can't let Hampton or Judkins went somewhere like amazing, like Denver, for example, in the first round, and he went like mid-second. Like that would change up, like honest values.
They're close enough that could change it. But right now, if it's pretty equal landing spot, you're clearly going to have TreVeyon.
To the counterpoint of Genty going to the Raiders or Genty going to the Cowboys, and TreVeyon slips to 31 the draft, but he gets pulled in the first round the Kansas City. Boy, oh boy. Is that really kind of like give you as just talented as
Clyde
Genty is?
Edwards-Helaire.
I was going to say, you're falling for that Kansas City trick again, huh?
No. I mean, well, to be fair,
That's different though.
I let the running back 4
Obviously,
skyrocket up there, but you know what I mean. Like that does make it very. It's like you'd have a very good argument of like, hey, you're just good enough taking TreVeyon Henderson down to 2.
I'm
These
super
are 2
curious.
guys that have made trades up to 1 from 2.
Just to play it safe, absolutely. Yeah, I'm super excited to see how the draft capital shakes out with all these guys, because I think there's a world where, there's just 1 running back in the first round. It's Ashton Genty. I think there's a bizarro world where there could be as many as 4. And like that, I don't think that. If I had to guess right now, I think 2. I think we'll see 2. But it's gonna change your rookie draft so much depending on how many of these running backs go in the first round, or maybe like right there as the first or second pick in the second round. Like that could do it as well. But
or they wait because there is such a
that's what I brought up. Yeah, I wasn't sure how that one's going to swing. It could go either way.
Could change everything.
Free agency hasn't gotten off to like a real quick start at that position. Not that there's a lot out there.
There wasn't a lot of options, but I think Najee, Javonte,
Aaron Jones
re-signed, right?
And don't forget about Ty Johnson.
Right.
He's on a roster somewhere.
So let's
not
end
to
it-
belabor the point.
Yeah.
I think you guys described TreVeyon's, who he is as a player perfectly. I have him as my RB2 as well. I have him closer in a tier with Judkins than I do Judkins and Hampton, but I kind of have it Genty, Henderson, Judkins, Hampton, just like it sounds like you guys do as well. I just think he checks all the boxes. He's extremely explosive. He can be a pass-catching weapon, not just that he catches the ball. He is a weapon out of the backfield, so that's going to score fantasy points. I like Trey a lot.
Do we think TreVeyon is a guy that could be a true workhorse back, or do we see him more in the Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon Achane type of envisioned role where it's more of the 12 to 15 touches a game with some receiving? Like, what guy is he at? Because depending on the game I watch or the play I watch of him, I'm like, oh, he could be in this camp. Oh, but he could be in this camp. And I think he could be effective in either way that they use him. Yeah. But I'm just curious, like, how does the NFL see him? How do you guys see him in that light?
I mean, I think the team that drafts him is going to answer this question for us based on the personnel that's there, right?
Sure.
But for now, I would lean towards he's a guy that's going to be a 10 to 12 play type of guy, just size wise and maximizing his explosiveness and that kind of stuff. I think that's better.
So if he gets signed to like Washington, let's say, and him and Brian Robinson are together, we have a pretty clear picture how this is going to work out.
Yeah, I think he leans more, to me in my eyes, more of like a 60-40 share where he gets 60. Like almost kind of like, just imagine like when David Montgomery came back from injury last year, how Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery was. At that point, Gibbs had established himself as more like the 60-40 compared to what it was 50-50.
Put the ball in his hands.
Yeah, so like he's the starting running back. He's gonna get those touches in between tackle, like just kind of like even Devon Achane was able to get this year. So I think he's gonna fall into one of those guys 12 months from now when you're looking at your overall dynasty rankings and startup drafts. Like he's gonna be, I think there's a good chance he could jump Jonathan Taylor in rankings right there. And I think he'll be in that, even like where Bucky Irvin is right now, where he's jumping in that people's 5th overall running back. Like I think a lot of these guys could jump there, but I think TreVeyon Henderson if healthy, has a very more like if we're doing let's say a likely meter, I would give it a solid 9.9 that he'll be a dynasty top 6 startup.
Not legal, but I'll
allow it
for this example.
Half back.
You guys changed the rules while I was gone.
So, all right, let's move on. We all love him.
We all love him.
If you have the 1-2, I mean,
what was your nerd score for him, Garrett?
77.8.
Okay, I got 76.5, so we're pretty close.
Pretty close. Yep, absolutely.